Hello, we are live. Hi, Lisa. Thank you so much for joining us. And everybody who's about to come in or watch the playback, thank you
Hello.
for coming in for this another casual convo, and this time with Laura from Aquamarine 18. Thank you so much for coming, Laura.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. This is going to be so much fun. So I have Laura's YouTube channel link in the description box. If you have not subbed, you definitely should go and do so. Did you want to give like a quick little intro, Laura, before we get into the rest of the chat?
Yes, hi, I'm Laura. My channel is Aquamarine 18. I talk about tarot sometimes. I kind of wonder if I should have been a booktube channel at times, to be honest, or if I should have two channels, because I talk about books a lot as well.
Yeah.
A tarot oracle divination of all types is where it started and where most of the content is now.
Very good. Very good. Okay. So let's see if there's anyone else coming in. Okay. So shall we do the firsts and favorites?
Okay.
What?
Yes.
You know most of these questions are not.
I didn't write anything down. I did not
Mostly
prepare.
Okay.
I've seen enough folks on here to have a.
All right. Here we go. Okay. Firsts. A first deck that you ever bought.
The first deck that I ever bought was boring Smith-Waite yellow box plaid backs. It's the second deck I had, but the first deck I bought.
The first deck you bought, yeah, okay. The first deck you ever had was that one that your parents got you?
Yeah,
and you lost somewhere. Okay.
Yeah, the first deck was the oh god, now I'm gonna blank on the name. Jonathan D. Tarot pack with the purple backs and the printer paper cardstock. Gifted probably more than 20 years ago now, definitely more than 20 years ago now. Got lost in the back of a closet at my parents' house, which I have not lived in for many, many years, and it was refound a couple of years ago. But the first one I bought myself was a Smith-Waite.
Awesome. Hello, everyone else joining in. Rachel. Hello, Hyun. Hi, Sylvain. Zane, Tarot Token Witchery. Hi, Gerald, Tarot Stash. Hi, MA. Okay. The first deck you remember passing on or rehoming?
Oh gosh. I gifted a Smith-Waite Centennial.
Okay.
I still have one, but I gifted one too.
Okay, gotcha.
I gifted one and then rebought it.
The Centennial. You know, I have that as kind of my resource deck. I can't stand the cardstock on that.
Oh, really?
I cannot stand it. I know US Games cardstock is like, everyone loves it, but I find that to be a very hard cardstock.
I like that one.
Yeah, I know. Everybody else but me. Okay. One of the first decks in your collection that is not based on RWS.
Nomad Tarot by Jennifer Drantel was the first one that I got, and I saw it on Little Red Tarot.
Okay.
And it's a deck that is totally pips. It's not Marseille, but the pips are elemental. So there's kind of crystals on the earth suit for pentacles, feathers for air, and kind of one feather for the ace, two for the 2, 3 for the 3. And I saw it, and it's dark navy blue and white, two color. And I saw it, and I was like, I want to be able to read that. I have no idea how to do that, but
you like it.
This shop is cool. This thing is cool. I'm gonna I'm gonna buy it, and I did, and I kind of messed around with it, and the book was not very helpful at all.
No. Surprising, right? Hi, Patrice.
Hi, Kelly. Hi, Patrice. Hi, Janine.
I also hate images with lots of eyes.
Right?
Hello. Oops. Kelly Bear. And we have Lisa again. Oh, hi, Ange. Okay. Now let me.
Nope. And Patrice, I have not been studying for this. I know that the Nomad was my first non-Rider-Waite Smith, because we just did the sentimental tarot decks tag, and I picked it for that reason.
Gotcha.
That's how I know that one.
All right. One of the first things that you ever started collecting, like rocks or maybe books or?
I mean, probably books in a way, but coins with my grandfather.
Coins.
When I was young, he's been passed for a long time now, but when I was young, he traveled still for work and family visiting and things like that. So would bring back the pocket change kind of from the trips, like not collecting coins in any kind of, one from each year or rare ones or anything like that. Just like, this like, this 50 pence coin is really cool. So I'm going to keep it in a box, kind of, yeah.
Cool. That's still cool.
And I still have those in my parents' closet as well. Yeah, they still have.
Oh, wow. So basically your parents' closet is still like your storage closet.
Yeah.
Though that's nice. I wish I had that.
They still live in the house that I grew up in from when I was 4 years old onwards. Wow. And now I have 2 siblings and none of us live there. Yeah. So it's there's still quite a lot of stuff.
Wow. All right. A first pet.
When I was born, my parents had 2 cats. One of them died not too long after I was born, so I don't remember that one. But I grew up with Lacey the cat.
Oh, Lacey.
And they thought it was a she when they got him. So he was Lacey and he was black and white.
Oh, tuxedos are my favorite. So
black and white cat. And we had him until I was 12 or so. Like he was the family cat, the only family pet that I grew up with.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
And then Daryl's the first pet.
Cat
Daryl's the first pet that I've had that is
your cat.
My pet that I adopted myself.
Aww. Okay.
First Daryl, who I told you about earlier.
Yes, Daryl. Oh my. Daryl's not feeling well today, ladies and gentlemen.
No.
And everyone in between. Okay.
Hi, Heather. Hi, Ange.
Hi, Heather. Okay. Hi, everyone coming in. Sorry if I missed you. Let's see. A first movie that you saw in the movie theater.
I don't know if this is the first movie I saw in the movie theater, but the first movie that I know that I saw in the theater was the Disney Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah. Disney is a lot for, that's a common one for.
And my mom tells me that we went to see it, and I declared afterwards that I felt that they made the Beast too loud. That was my take.
Too loud. Too loud. One of these, and that was one of my favorites, actually, of all the princess ones. I liked the Beast. I liked his loudness.
My favorite film as a child, though, was Winnie the Pooh and the Blustery Day. That was the one.
I never saw that.
It's like from the 60s.
Yeah, that's why. And if it didn't have a princess in it, then I wasn't interested. So yeah. Anyway. Okay. First celebrity crush.
Xena Warrior Princess.
Understandable.
Who I wanted to be like as well.
Might have to be who?
Who I wanted to be.
Oh, who you wanted to be. Oh,
like like leather and hardware. Like definitely.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Okay. First paycheck.
Delivering newspapers.
That's fun.
Yeah, and it wasn't really a check though. You had to go around, and I had like a fanny pack, and I carried the newspapers in the bag, and I had the fanny pack, and the customers who wanted to pay me in cash instead of paying the newspaper would give me money at the door, and I would have to punch the little card, keeping track that they paid, and that was my paycheck.
Gotcha.
The change. Yeah.
Can I just say fanny packs are back? Like I have quite a few fanny packs before I came back. So
I have 2 of them, and for concerts and stuff. Cycling, great.
Yeah, exactly. No, just love them. Okay. First piercing.
Oh, my ears, earlobes. Okay.
First tattoo.
That shouldn't have taken as long to think.
It's like, how many do I have? Wait, 1, 2, 3.
No, like I got my earlobes pierced with, like, my mother took me when I was 11 or something. That was definitely before my nose.
The other ones, right? Okay, and then first tattoo.
First tattoo, ankle.
Oh, okay.
On the right hand side, it's a little like a rook from a chess
Wow, that's awesome.
Mhm.
Oh, hi, Sarah. Water Child Tarot. Let's see, Heather says Lucy Lawless is still my celebrity crush.
Right. Me too. And that was also Xena Warrior Princess was a very like crush worthy show, I will say. Like I probably had a crush on half the cast, if I'm honest.
Yes, they had quite a
But
following.
I have a crush on Lucy Lawless and Battlestar Galactica too. So
Hi, Candy. Okay. Let's see. Now on to favorites. A favorite beverage.
am I supposed to is it alcoholic beverage or any
It can be anything you want.
beer? But also scotch, but also coffee
Mm-hmm.
and water. That's pretty much everything.
Everything that you drink. Okay.
Yeah.
A favorite thing to shop for other than decks and witchy things.
Ash vs. Evil Dead. I just yeah, that too. Books. Books is my favorite thing to shop for.
Oh, I see. Books. Okay.
It's I can't move because
Yeah. Yes, indeed.
that
I
shelf is
can't
built
say
into the walls.
can't say that's a surprising answer. Hi, Jen. Nice to see you. Okay. A favorite book. Speaking of books,
Oh,
just one, not the, but a.
A.
A favorite.
It's okay. It's really 3 because it's a trilogy. But Lilith's Brood, Octavia Butler.
Okay. A favorite show or maybe a favorite movie.
Star Trek.
Yes. As in like the Next Generation, the OG.
Hard to pick. It's hard to pick.
Okay. That's fine.
You know what? I really like DS9 a lot.
Oh,
I really like Next Generation one.
Yeah, I love
DS9 has the long storylines, which I like. Like
Okay.
it's less episodic, which I do prefer.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay.
But I also just watched, and if people haven't watched it, they should go watch. I just watched Our Flag Means Death on HBO. So good.
Okay.
It's pirates. It's great.
Oh yes, you talked about that in your last catch-up video.
It's 30-minute episodes. It's great.
Okay. I'll have to write this down.
It's funny.
Okay. All right. Let's see here. Favorite crystal. Would it be aquamarine?
Aquamarine is my birthstone.
Okay.
So that's where that came from.
Yeah.
I don't really I'm not buying crystals anymore. I don't have a big crystal practice, I will say.
Mhm.
I feel like Druidry as an earth-centered practice and crystal buying just like doesn't I can't square that in my head. But I do have a little collection and a selenite, I think.
Ah, that's a pretty one for sure.
Yeah.
I'm already on the rewatch. Okay. Our Flag Means Death. I'm really gonna
We need a season 2. We need a season 2.
I'm writing this down. Our Flag Means Death. Pirates. All right. Let's see here. Favorite piece of jewelry.
Oh, okay. This is probably a boring answer. But my ring, ones, I have these in a bunch of different colors. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see this, but like these are made out of silicone, so they're squishy.
Ah.
And really soft. These are like game changer if you're a side sleeper and you have big.
I would think so. I would think so.
So that's like in terms of like, thank you whoever invented this. That's the answer.
Hello, Kim at Abundant Life Tarot.
Hi.
Oh my goodness. Okay. And then let's see here. Are you ready for the bonus question?
Oh God. Am I ready?
Yeah, are you ready?
I think so.
Oh my gosh, it's gonna be okay. Okay. Of these 3 decks,
Okay.
if you had to, which one would you gift your partner, your parents, and Ursula Le Guin?
Oh God. Okay.
Steampunk Tarot,
Mm-hmm.
Marigold Tarot, and the Trompe de la Luna illustrated.
Okay. See, with the third one, you made me change my answer.
Okay.
I would have to give my partner the Triumphi del Luna Illustrated Edition because like Chris saw the farting fire on the box
and thought it was great.
Like I was like, so like this is the this is the one. So that's that. My parents would get, I'm gonna say my parents would get steampunk and Ursula Le Guin gets marigold.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can see that makes sense. That probably would have been, not that I know any of the people in your like online, but that would have been like I would have given my parents the steampunk out of these three. Just feels.
I think my parents like I don't know what they would think about Triumphi del.
I mean, marigold is a certain aesthetic as well. So I feel like of the three, steampunk is like most like, kind of more on the vanilla side, I guess.
Yeah.
For my parents, for sure.
Yeah.
So, all right. Good answers. Good choices. Okay. See, that wasn't that bad, right?
Oh, I was bracing for Kiss, Marry, Kill.
Well, see, I try to mix it up a little bit.
Good.
All right. So when did your interest in tarot begin? So when your parents gifted you that very first tarot deck, was that because they knew that
Yeah, I wanted one. And I had I would have been maybe 13-ish.
Okay.
And I had back then too. I think I was just kind of interested in witchy, for lack of better language.
Yeah.
Things, and so I had runes that I made as well. And I don't work with runes at all as an adult. But I had made runes with like rocks from the beach.
Yeah.
I don't know where those ended up. Maybe they're back in the back of the closet.
In the closet.
I mean, I haven't seen them. But I had the cards and I had the runes, and I don't know, probably some the nice like fancy looking journal for writing kind of little spell plans in it. Like that. And that was But then there's a big lull. So I have not been working with tarot consistently for that long.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of fell way out of it and far away from it, and then came back. How long would it have been? 7 years ago?
Okay.
8 years ago? 9 years ago? So
Gotcha.
More recently, much more recently than that.
Do you remember like where you first caught wind of tarot at that young age, or is it just that since you were just all about general witchy things?
When I feel like I grew up, and other folks, have talked about this, like grew up at that, there's a lot of witchy television, and there's a lot, and we didn't grow up watching a lot of television. We had an aerial on top of our house that you had to turn a dial and like point the aerial in different directions to get different channels, like for quite a bit while I was young. And but we did, and I was aware of the Craft and all of these kind of witch movies and television that was coming out at the time, and I think probably just somewhere in there. But I do have some playing card reader ancestors on one side as well.
Okay.
So that was something that they're not folks that I grew up with or that I met, but that I have grown up aware that they exist, kind of thing. So
gotcha.
It wasn't like, I know for some folks growing up have had parents that would be very like not okay with them having things like tarot cards. Like my family was not like that at all.
Right.
Is not like that at all.
Gotcha. Well, that's good. That's great.
Good night, Kelly.
Oh yes. Good night, Kelly. Good night, Kelly Bear. Thank you for joining us. Change the channel, Kerchunk.
That's the noise of the aerial.
Oh, okay. Okay. Gotcha. All right. So are you like you feel like you're predominantly RWS type of reader, or do you feel like now it's kind of evolved into more numerological or?
Yeah, definitely more of a numerological elemental combo. Smith-Waite is where I learned.
Yeah.
Marseille, I've done some study around Marseille reading. Like I read the Untold Tarot and a couple of other books like that.
Yeah.
I don't read with like really Marseille as opposed to Pips that often, but I do like. But now I'm really, the decks that I go for the most are a bit more abstract.
Okay.
I would say.
All right.
And yeah, not quite Smith-Waite or Marseille, I would say.
All right, cool.
But I like anything in that. Yeah.
Okay, so then in terms of that more abstract, like, are you interested in, say, like any kind of Thoth-based?
Nope.
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 Okay.
Nope. No.
Point blank period.
Anything Crowley just gets to stay as far away from me as it can.
Gotcha. All right.
Nope.
I hear you. I hear you.
No. So I'm thinking like I have a mountain of decks beside me, obviously. But like minors that I really love would be more like Fifth Spirit Tarot minors.
Okay.
Like more. There's a scene, but it's not. It's not a lot of.
Yeah. It's what Sylvain would call pips with feeling.
Yeah. This is a kind of minors that I really, really like, or the kind of, yeah.
Yes. Great. Okay.
I'm all over the place. I'm all over the place and like a lot of different things.
Good. It's all good. Hello for anyone coming in that I missed. Okay, so do you feel like there was a particular deck that really, where you really felt like you were kind of catching your groove with the tarot? And it's like, okay, this is the deck that really has made it easy for me to actually catch on and really learn and feel like you're getting the hang of tarot.
Next World, maybe.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That was like a different sort of click, though.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, like a deck can look like this. Like this is like punk rock and anarchic and a thing that I can,
right,
get into in a different sort of a way. And so that was one that kind of stands out, I would think.
Awesome. And then would you say that there were any like resources that you felt were particularly helpful when you're studying tarot?
Initially, the like when I'm first thinking of studying the kind of Smith-Waite, like more so studying Smith-Waite as a system, what is it, learntarot.com? I think it's is it Joan Bunning?
Joan Bunning. That's how I learned too.
That one.
Yeah, that's how I learned too. She has a book as well.
Which I've never owned, but I've always used that website.
I never owned it either, and I think the book is really pretty much what you see on the website. But those are free. It's free, and it's a fantastic. I mean, it looks a little bit antiquated, but it's
but it is, and like that's okay.
And it is, and that's fine because it's still really great content, and that's how I learned. So awesome, yes. And then you do also, I know, use Oracle. Do you have do you recall kind of when that came in for you was that like when, what, in the last few years or?
Yeah. Well, I'm just laughing because Patrice is going to say I studied again, but the Sentimental Tarot, the tag that I just did, the first Oracle deck I ever got was the Earthbound Oracle. By the same creator who did the Wooden Tarot and a couple of others.
Yeah.
And that one, I just really liked it aesthetically. I was like, this is really cool. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. And so I would have gotten that when I don't know, 2018, maybe.
Okay.
And then I have, thank you to Kim from Abundant Life Tarot. I now have a spreadsheet of all of my decks with all the dates that I got things insofar as I know. And I didn't buy another Oracle deck for over a year after getting that one. And because I was figuring it out.
Gotcha. And how did you catch wind of that one? Because that's an indie deck. So did you catch wind via like TerraTube or?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it was I think I got it on Etsy. I think
that makes sense. That makes sense. I was about to say pips with feeling. Yup.
Pips with feeling.
Love that. I love that phrase because it's so true. Okay. And then Heather says, I feel like I first discovered that website in my late teens, but I don't know if it's been around that long. I mean, it kind of looks like it has. But so, hi, Joey Luna. I mean, but it really is. It's great.
I like that it looks like it was made when it was made. I like that it's not full of like bloaty graphics that slow it down. I like that.
Keep it simple.
Really like
it has its own charm about it for sure. Okay. And so you had that Earthbound Oracle for like the longest time, and then when do you feel like, was it because of Tarot Tube that it kind of opened the doors for all the other Oracle and
Oh
Tarot?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah.
That's
Well, I think initially too, it's like I feel like when you start studying a system, like start studying Smith Waite, for example, and then you learn to read within this kind of system, and then you start to look at things that look really a lot like it but aren't it. And whether it's like clones or just Smith Waite inspired. When it's I like studying systems, right? And when coming out of that, the idea of doing something like, oh, and then you pull an oracle card at the end, it's like, well, why would you do that? That's not, if the system is complete as it is, why would you
right.
Once you start playing around with it, it's like, oh, this is really fun.
Fun, exactly.
Find things.
Yes.
And I can totally read a spread with all oracle cards if I want to do that, and that's great too. And then the door opened. I've never had nearly as many oracle decks as I've ever had tarot decks. My collections are not even close to the same size.
Yeah.
But I really like oracle decks a lot. Yeah.
I do. I like oracle decks too. And, I've said before, I just don't reach for them nearly as often. So I've been trying to be very mindful of the oracle decks that I buy, because of course they all look beautiful and great, but then I don't ever use them. So I think I have like maybe 5 or 6, something like that. So that's it compared to tarot, which is a lot more. Hi, Aspasia Rising, Beth. Thank you for joining. Okay. So then, so it sounds like in the way that you use Oracle, you can use it on its own. It's never just always paired with tarot. You learn to be flexible with that. And
I feel like with anything, like it depends on the deck. Yeah. Like I definitely have some. I do a card of the day now, or sometimes it's an Ogham of the day or a tarot card of the day, an oracle deck, whatever it is.
Yeah.
There are definitely some oracle decks that I feel like personally, for me anyway, are really just amenable to being a 1-card draw, that I would not think to put out 6 of them. But then others that are more, not so much message on the card, but more so kind of just a cute, like something like Earthbound or like Urban Crow, or these kind of decks that have just a keyword, something like that, like totally for a full reading. Why not?
Yeah. And you've also gotten into Lenormand a little bit, right?
A teeny tiny bit.
Okay. I like the green glyph. You have is it the green glyphs, Lenormand? You have that one?
And I also have and use the first one that I got, the Story in Color by Kelly Fitzgerald, is the one that really, like, because I kind of looked at Lenormand like, this is nonsense. This is frankly, but then seeing Kelly Fitzgerald do something so easy and straightforward, like take the man and woman card out and make queerant and significant. I was like, done.
Yep, exactly.
Buy the big size, buy the small size, and I'll read the guidebook and see what happens. But I don't use it a lot. Use it a lot.
Is that something that you want to dive into more deeply at some point? Or I know that Kelly has a great class that I would like to take at some point.
I would like to at some point too, but it's like, how many systems, True. But yeah, at some point I will take Kelly's class when it runs live.
Gotcha. Sure. Very cool. Well, maybe I'll see you in there. Yes. So what would you say is like one of the most significant changes that you've seen in terms of how you've been practicing tarot in the last few years?
Sure. I mean, aside from kind of totally subjective things like, you feel a lot more confident when, and particularly a lot more confident kind of messing around and doing things in ways that just feel kind of like intuitively like they make sense.
Right.
And less kind of systematic.
Right.
The more that you do it, I think, at least for me.
Was that a challenge for you, given that you like the kind of structured systems?
A little bit, but it's kind of like once you like jump off the fool's cliff, there's no going back, right? It's so now no. I would say definitely that I started off initially very much in the kind of Smith Waite clone, Smith Waite system, and have shifted pretty far away from that. I didn't do a card of the day. I've gone back and forth on like, is a card of the day or a reading of the day or a morning draw a thing that I want in my life? and I'll do it for a week, and then I won't do it, and I'll do it, and I won't do it. And it's like, why do people think they need to do this? And why do people think they should do this? And now I'm like, I've been doing it for 6 months straight or something, and I think it's great. Yeah. So that's a perpetual back and forth thing.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree with that, in that I've gone through phases of like, I like doing the daily pull. I'm over the daily pull, and now I'm back to the daily pull, and like I really love it now again. So, and I think it helps that I jot it down, whereas before I was kind of laissez-faire about like writing things down. But for some reason, it's better when I actually do take note every day of the card, even if it's just to jot it down. So yeah,
I write them in my planner. So.
Yeah. Because you have the do you have the Metaphysician's Planner?
No, I have
your Hobonichi?
Yes, and so I just use the front. There's a front section of each month. There's one line per day, so I can just write down.
See, that's nice.
And that's where they live.
Very cool. I've been using Benabelle's Metaphysician's Planner for that, to just like write down every day and just make little notes. So I have so many, because I have a Hobonichi. So technically I don't need another planner, but I got
this year has been the year of getting into, this is my first, Hobonichi. And I'm a convert, and now they're not going to have the Tomoe River anymore, and I don't know what I'm going to do. But I love the Hobonichi, and with the pen, and the nice pens, like.
Yeah. I don't why are they getting rid of the Tomoe paper?
Because Tomoe's not making the paper anymore.
And why are they not making the paper anymore?
No, they're like the best.
I know, it's so good, right? Hi, Pamela. Oh, awesome. I will make note of that. August. Okay.
I'm taking Kelly's intermediate OM class in July.
Oh, yes. Okay. All right. So let's see. Do you have kind of a way of picking the decks that you work with? Is it like a mood-based thing? Do you kind of predetermine like the week before, like, oh, for the following week, I want to work with these decks? Or
for the morning draw, I will work with one for a week.
Okay.
And then put it out and pick. And it's entirely mood, like which one gets picked. Like I don't plan, like I'm not like planning out a month ahead or anything. Like it's just, and a lot of it I think is seasonal. A lot of it is seasonal. Mm-hmm. I have certain ones that feel very spring-like, and those are the ones that are, coming out right now. And that just kind of happens naturally. My tarot table faces out a window. Like it's inevitably going to be that way. And then anytime I'm doing a bigger reading for myself, it's mood. I don't necessarily just use the one that's out for the week for the daily draw. I'll go pick something else. If I'm doing a big reading for myself, and if it's a reading for someone else, which I don't do very often at all, then I'll have a couple and they can pick. And it's friends and stuff, so like I can usually know what kinds
they would like. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so Sarah says there's a U.S. Planner Notebook company. Oh,
I'm gonna write that down.
Okay, as am I. Hold on. Wonderland. Because it's so good. The paper's so good. Okay. Thank you, Sarah.
for folks who don't know about the Tomoe River paper and why the Tomoe River paper people really like it. I mean, I'm sure people like it for lots of different reasons, but it's really thin. So like you get a lot of pages in a small thing. Mm-hmm. And it's also very like bleed proof, so you can use thick ink. Like you can paint in watercolor on it and it won't really go through. You can write on both sides.
So good.
So like that's why it's like this is the I know like not everybody's into and I'm mostly not really, except for this paper. So it's like that's why.
Yes, it's just really so good. So I was upset when they were saying they were discontinuing it. Okay. Oh, I see Meg. Hi, Meg.
Hi.
All right. So then if you're going by mood, do you feel like guilty when you have tarot decks or oracle decks that are sitting there unused? Like, do you
No. No.
Cool.
No. I mean,
I wish I were like that.
I don't feel like no. Okay. I don't feel guilty that I have like the one shirt that I feel obligated to have because it only goes to weddings, like it doesn't, like, I don't think the shirt's mad at me because it isn't something that I want to wear every day. I don't.
That is awesome.
I don't think of it that way. I mean, if I have a deck in my collection, and I'll say, like, I do have some decks that I've been sending away, or like, gifting, or, a couple that I'm gifting, and I'm going to have some that I'm going to take to a fundraiser sale, like locally and things like that. So I will move things along a little bit, but like, yeah, no.
Okay. That's awesome. I love that. I actually love that. Let's see. Oh, hi, I am Olivier Judes. I know people talk about cosmic light air as replacement. Oh, cosmic air. Okay, I'm going to write this down too. Cosmic light air. Okay. Thank you, Judes. All right. Oh, hello. Hi, Eva. Nice to see you, Ink and Flame. Now, you are doing kind of like a Druidry study, am I right? Is that still something that you're continuing with? Like, isn't there some type of like organization or there is?
Yeah, so I mean, Druidry is very big and very broad and very internally diverse, and like probably Druidry's plural is better. But I'm involved with the Ancient Order of Druids in America, which is a organized. It's not just American because I'm not in America, and many others are not. And they have a series of grades, I guess. So you could start as candidate grade and then go up, and candidate grade takes at least a year or more. Many people take more. The next one takes at least 2 years and more. Next 3 years and more. And it's the first, and I'm in the first. I'm in the first level. And the first year, the candidate curriculum focuses a lot on building relationships with the environment that you're in. So there's a lot of like reading about your local environment and things like this.
Gotcha.
As well as observing solstices and equinoxes in a way that feels meaningful to you. It's very non-dogmatic. It's compatible with other spiritual practices as well. So a lot of folks do kind of Druidry with something else.
Right. Okay. So, and how did you decide on that? Was tarot in any way kind of an influence in you taking that type of approach, or is it more that you've always been kind of earth-based in your practice or spirituality, if you will, and so that seemed to be the best fit?
A little both. I mean, definitely always like earth-based, but I would also say that seeing some other folks who are on TarotTube also make some amount of content about Druidry, kind of put that on my radar, I think, in a particular sort of way. Even going far back, like folks who are not necessarily like not with Druid channels are doing a lot with Druidry now necessarily. Like I know even like Katie Flowers had some content on some Druidry books and things like that. So that kind of, I think, put it on the radar as one of like the many things to kind of read about and see what I thought. But I'm also a fairly like organization joining averse kind of personality in a lot of ways. Like I don't like if something doesn't feel really compatible, then I won't go with it. Right? I'm pretty DIY with everything. So it was like a lot of thinking to like, am I going to actually like join a thing?
It sounds like you're really liking it though, and you might.
It's good. It's good for me.
So you might continue on to the other levels.
I will. Yeah, I will. I'm almost done the first year.
Gotcha. Cool. Well, I hear echo again. Does anybody hear echo? Please let me. Do you hear that?
Is it because I'm sitting too close?
I don't know. Just let me know if I think it's gone.
Okay.
It's gone now.
I don't hear it. I haven't heard it.
So. Okay. Let me see here. Just seeing if there are any other questions. Hi, Krista. Auntie K's Tarot Insight. Krista says, I agree with Laura. I'm not feeling like a deck can be upset. No. I do personify my decks. I do. I can't help it. Sorry, not sorry. I totally do that.
I mean, I could see maybe like if I had a deck that I knew that somebody else like was really, really looking for and I never saw myself using, like I feel like, I should pass that on, you know, and I would, but like I don't think that the deck itself is.
Yeah. No, I get it. And I, you know, of course, deep down, I know that too. This is like self-inflicted guilt. Okay. So then
I do sometimes talk about them like they have personalities though. Like I'll say like, oh, like that that deck just told me.
Yeah, I totally do that. I totally personify my decks. Can't help it. So what would you say your experiences have been having a YouTube channel?
That's a big question.
As far as you want to take it.
I mean, it's been fun. Like I was a lurker. I was a lurker for a long time, and then I was a commenter for a while. You know, commenter, but not video making. And then I won a giveaway from Kelly Bear, and I was like, oh, I'm going to do an unboxing. So that's like was the little like
nudge you needed.
You know, the little nudge because I kind of wanted to. And I think like everyone probably does a little bit, or many. I shouldn't say everyone. Many people do. I was kind of like, well, I don't really have anything to add. You know, like there's all this great kind of conversation happening, and I don't know that I have a like very strong plan for something that would make my channel kind of super unique and something that's kind of needed in the loud space of YouTube or whatever. But I'm glad that didn't stop me for too long because I've had fun and I've got to meet folks and chat with folks, and it's been so good. So
yeah, absolutely. And I feel like that is kind of a common fear that people have when starting a YouTube channel, like what can I possibly contribute to this discussion, you know? And just the fact that you are you know, I think that
yeah, and it's fun to like, I don't know about everybody else, but I don't have a ton of friends locally in my offline life who are tarot enthused. I have like quite a few friends locally who maybe own one deck or like a reading on their birthday or, you know, something like that, but are not, you know, going to have intensive kind of conversations about tarot and reading and decks. And so this is the way of having those conversations.
Exactly. Absolutely. It's a way just to be a part of a.
And I'm off all the other social media now. So
yeah, I know. Yeah, that's it. Right. Yeah.
I haven't been on Facebook for a very long time, like almost 2 years.
And then Instagram, you're like, I'm done with.
I'll pop on very, very occasionally just to see if there's like a message from someone that I know, but I'm not, it was too much. It is designed to make you look at it for as long as possible.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right. And I just, I didn't like it. And I mean, good. It's good.
I hear you.
And it's like, I think having so much screen time, especially the last couple of years with work and that, it's like, where can I cut it? You know?
Yeah, that's true. So. That's very true. Okay. So actually Beth has some questions, and that leads right into some of my questions, which are what deck is Laura working with right now? Some of their favorite, what is their favorite deck right now? What decks are on their wish list? Wow. You like read my mind, Beth.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Dang.
The deck that is my current card of the day, that I'm drawing a card of the day in the morning from, is a deck for Wonder Walking.
That's a pretty one.
Kind of, I guess an oracle. It's landscape orientation, which I quite like. Like everything is sideways. And it comes with a great book that is all about having the card inspire a walk and like looking for particular things on your walk. So I've only really used the deck in that way before. And now it's kind of a message of the day, which is nice. The last deck that I did a reading for myself with, a bigger reading for myself, was my Next World. And the new one in the collection that I'm just getting to know is the Woodland Wardens.
Nice. Very nice. Okay. So your kind of favorite deck right now, would you say is one of those, or?
Well, I do have a favorite deck, you know, favorite deck. Everybody knows I have a favorite deck.
Yes.
The Naturescapes is my favorite deck.
By Queen of Wands, Tina.
By Tina. And I went and found the image that's the back of the deck. I went and found it on Pixabay and got it stuck on a tin.
Nice. Very nice.
So that it could live in my purse. So that's the deck. Like, that's the favorite deck. And
nice, yeah.
Insofar as I have deck creation aspirations, this is the inspiration deck.
Good. She's so good.
For sure. She's so good.
She's so good.
And I have all of her decks, and I think that they're great.
Yeah.
Deck on my wish list. You know what deck is actually on my wish list? There is a Star Trek tarot.
Yeah.
There's a Star Trek tarot that's the original series Star Trek tarot, and it has been in the works for ages. But it got kind of put to one side because of the pandemic, because the folks who are doing it, I think, are definitely way more Star Trek folks than they are tarot folks, and they wanted to do it on the convention circuit. So insofar as this set, they can't sell it on the convention circuit when the conventions aren't happening. So the whole project is just kind of. So I had actually pre-ordered it, and then they refunded me and said, like, we're gonna suspend all of this until we can do it in the way that we really want to, and we're gonna email everybody and let them know when they can have one. So that one is on my wish list, and then the really, really the out of print, the out of print rare, one that I probably nobody's gonna know what I'm even talking about, but the novel Nova by Samuel Delany, which was a Hugo Award-winning novel in 1968. There was a tarot deck drawn that kind of has a loose association with this book, because tarot is represented in the book and like a part of the plot of the book. And so there was like a couple of copies of this deck. It's definitely like there's a copy of it in some like archive. It would be like it's like a super rarity. Like, it's not something that I'm ever gonna probably even see in person. Daryl, no. But to see that deck would be really cool.
Wow. That's
the really obscure one.
I have not heard of that. That's really cool. Yeah. Okay. And then do you have like a deck or two where you're just not really connecting, or you're maybe having difficulty trying to?
Sorry, I just read Auntie Kay's comment about costume contests at the Toronto Star Trek event. Oh my goodness, I'm so jealous. I've never been to one.
That sounds like it would be a lot of fun.
Oh my goodness, it's like on the list of like the little tiny list of things. It's like things I have to do, like not like a list of things I have to do before I die or anything, but like something that I just have to do when I can.
Yeah,
that's amazing. That's amazing. All right. Decks I'm not connecting with.
Yes. Do you have any?
I had to go and look. Daryl's like rooting around back there. I had to go and look.
Plastic.
I do have the little assortment of decks that I'm going to be giving away. Oh. And the one that's been in my collection the longest that I have never been able to connect with. This guy, Soul Cards.
Oh, really?
People love it. People love it.
I know.
Anastasia Rising, the book is called Nova by Samuel Delany, was the book that I was talking about that had tarot in it. I just can't.
It's beautiful. They're like beautiful pieces of art. I have never necessarily been so drawn to them personally, but I know I'm in the very, very small minority there. So at least you're joining.
They're pretty, but I find them challenging to work with in a logistical sense, in that like I really wanted to write numbers on them or something, so that if I was journaling, I could keep track of what I was talking about, because there's no titles, there's no numbers, there's no way to distinguish one from the other, like in a quick shorthand, which I just think is frustrating. I understand, given the like kind of philosophy of the deck, like that makes sense, but it just, this is just one that I don't know if it's too abstract for me. Daryl is trying really hard to bust into the closet where the plastic that he ate is, except that today my partner fixed the doorknob, so now Daryl can't pop the door open anymore, and he's getting like progressively more frustrated as he tries.
I can hear it. I can hear
it. Dig under the door.
Daryl, funk. Is the plastic eating like a new thing he's been doing? Or
no, he loves eating
non-edible.
He loves eating non-edible things if he gets half a chance, and it's horrible because he has some digestive, some pretty serious digestive issues. But he wants to eat like like avocado bags, plastic bags, dirt, leaves, like anything he can get.
So he's like a canine. Really?
And it's like, you just can't. And then he just eats it and throws it up all over the floor. And it's like, man.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to like
diarrhea.
And he's on the super special kibble so that he doesn't get, because he has basically like a cat version of IBS.
Yes.
And so he has to have this like has a special diet that doesn't irritate his pancreas, and he's just trying to eat anything.
Oh, is it maybe does he not enjoy his diet, and so he's like must eat whatever is around?
He enjoys eating,
just in general. So yeah. Okay. Oh my gosh. Okay, so this is a great question because I have asked Laura to have her Ogham deck with her to show us. And so you can give us a little backstory, Laura, for those in the live who are unfamiliar. Laura has created her own Ogham deck, and it's pretty cool. So this was inspired by, was it another Kelly class or okay?
So this had a couple of things. One of the things that you can do, it's not required, but it's optional in the Druidry first year study, is to do different kinds of explorations. And an exploration is basically spending like 20 hours or more just on a completely new thing. And so you could do a new musical instrument. You could do a new area of study. And one of the examples is you could explore a new form of divination if you wanted to, right? So I decided Ogham. Okay. And Ogham and Druidry have some connections, and so for part of my learning there, I took Kelly's Ogham class, which was a recording. So I bought the class that she had previously run as a recording and did it on my own. But then, in addition to that, Patrice, who's in the chat, at Patrice's encouragement, at the very last minute, I jumped into Kelly's Oracle deck making class.
Awesome.
In January, I think.
I didn't even know she had an Oracle deck making class. I mean, I knew she had all these other classes.
The Oracle class is kind of half figuring out what kinds of Oracle decks work for you and why. And different ways of working with Oracle decks, some history of Oracle decks, which is interesting. Because I think that we think of them as being this kind of like, oh, they can be anything. There's no system. They're just whatever. But like, there's some interesting historical ways of thinking about Oracle. And then there's some component of making your own and learning some software and all this kind of stuff. So it was terrific. Great. And so folks were coming up with amazing things, like their own systems and their own sets of keywords and all this stuff. And I just went, okay, well, I'm studying this now,
so might as well.
There's 20 cards. And so I got the images off of Pixabay and used keywords that I've kind of come up with from different study resources that have kind of ossified into the keywords that make sense to me after reading a bunch of different sources, and put that together. And I used there's a lot of different spellings for the Ogham, but McManus, who's a linguist who has a book about Ogham, gives a kind of standardized. So I used those, and it was just kind of a project for me. And then I showed them, and there's some interest in them. So
wow, yes. So
it's not. No, they're not available. There are some things that I want to change.
Okay.
This is not an accessible font, for one. It's curly and the green is not as prominent.
Right. Yeah, I see that.
It needs to be. So that's going to be a change. Okay. The font is going to be kind of a so light green, it's almost white.
Gotcha.
And a more readable font, at least up here. I kind of like the italics down here, but it's going to be a clearer one. I've got a couple of the photos. It's hard to tell. Like, you won't be able to tell on the screen, but some of the photos aren't quite the resolution that I would hope that they would be.
Yeah.
And are available in higher resolution. So I want to readjust that. And then this one, Saul, which is one of my favorite, came out really, really, really dark. So I'm going to substitute in a photo that I took.
Oh, nice.
For this one. And I have one photo that I took in there.
Gotcha. Cool.
I couldn't do this all with photos that I took because not all of these plants are around me.
Yeah. So makes sense.
But a willow tree is. So like that I could do.
That you could do.
And I think because I think I'm gonna just put it on probably make playing cards. I don't anticipate like a Kickstarter or anything like that. It's a lot.
That is a lot. Yes.
It's a lot. Like I think I'll probably do a make playing cards shop, but I want to do at least one more prototype.
Yeah.
Once the text is all changed.
Gotcha.
So that I can see what it looks like. I want it to be readable.
Yeah. So. Makes sense. Absolutely. It looks great.
And it's fun. It's so much fun to make your own deck. Like it's so much fun. And I'm a like, oh, I can't even draw a stick person kind of person when it comes to artistic things. But it's so much fun to make your own, and anybody can.
Anybody can. That's the thing. I mean, I can't draw either. I'm hoping to learn at some point, but I can't either. But you know, you can still create your own deck. That doesn't mean you can't be a deck creator. And it's just so much fun. That's why I can't stop making them, because they're so much fun.
You have quite a few.
Yeah. Because it's like they're so much fun, and once you start, you can't stop. You know, it's like once you start making one, it's like, and then you just these ideas pop in for other decks that you can make, and so. Do you think you'll be making maybe another Oracle deck?
Yes.
Okay.
I think that there is going to be a way for me to do an Oracle deck as a part of my second degree Druidry that will be a nature-based, like in this local environment, and it will be my own photos, probably with a book.
Oh, awesome. Cool.
Yeah. So I think I'm going to do something a little bit more ambitious, because it needs to be like a 2-year-long project. So I do have some plans around.
Wow, that's amazing. Okay, you're going to have to keep us updated on that. But in the meantime, it's really cool that your Ogham deck will be made available, because I think you were saying that there really isn't any kind of resource like that out there in terms of like a deck that teaches Ogham the way yours.
There's not. I mean, really, like what this is that I made Ogham learning flashcards on like recipe cards that I got at Staples. Just hand wrote some notes on one side and the Ogham on the other. And I do have one mass market Ogham deck. There are no keywords or anything on the cards. Gotcha. And there are a couple of Ogham, like there's 2 different Ogham decks both called Celtic Tree Oracle that are both mass market decks. They're both beautiful. They don't have any kind of keywords on the deck, and at least the one of the 2 that I have, the book is like not a good learner resource at all, in my opinion.
Gotcha.
So I wanted keywords on it, and I don't like keywords on tarot at all, but I wanted them on this.
Right. That makes perfect sense, and that would to me make for a great kind of learning resource, especially for something like Oghams.
So I think I'll put it up. I'll put it up on there.
All right. Awesome. We're looking forward. You'll have to let us know. And then Eva is asking, how has Laura's tarot or spiritual practice changed over the past few years? If this hasn't been covered already, I was late.
Tarot practice in the last couple of years, I just feel like has been fairly steady. I mean, I've definitely gotten more regular in terms of the daily. And I will say, like the Naturescapes Tarot came to me at like the very beginning of the pandemic. And that was a very emotional, obviously, time, you know, for everyone, not just me, that kind of solidified it as a favorite so quickly. And that kind of definitely changed the style of decks that I go for, I would say, to some extent.
Yeah.
Spiritual practice, I think the big shift is that Druidry is a thing that I've taken up.
Yeah.
Like it's a huge shift.
Sounds like,
having a framework is a huge shift. And it's a shift that's like not always comfortable, but thus far, like the discomforts are productive kinds of discomforts that are good, like learning, you know, and exploring kinds of discomforts, not like shitty discomfort.
Right, exactly. I feel like you wouldn't stay very long for something like that.
No, goodness, no, not at all. No, and I read the first book I read on Druidry, I didn't even get through it because it was so like hetero. I
think I remember you doing a review on that.
Oh, I was like, what is this like imposing like Euro gender binaries on nature? Like, oh no. Yeah. This is not, but then Druidry is this kind of thing again, like because it's so broad that it takes, I think, reading 3 or 4 books about Druidry to really get like what is the thing that's common to Druidry here, and what are the things that are just like particular authors, particular ways of doing things, and particular ways of thinking about things. So once it's like, oh no, that kind of all the nonsense that I could not stand in this first book, that's not inherent to Druidry or Druidry practice at all. That's just this author.
Yeah, gotcha.
And so that was a good learning moment.
Awesome. Very cool. Okay, let me see if I'm missing any other questions.
I can't see you.
You can't see me?
Where are you?
You can't see me?
No.
Oh, sorry.
Like there you are.
See, I told you I'm still learning here. So, okay. Oracle is different. Oracle keyword fan. Yeah.
I like a keyword as well, like one keyword. I don't tend to go for the Oracle decks that have like a paragraph, except for apparently my own, which has 4 keywords on each. But
that's good for something like that, though. I kind of think that's more helpful than not.
But I like a keyword, like the L'Oracle des Reflets or the Urban Crow, like those kind of single keyword. That's what I like.
Gotcha. Yeah. Let's see. And Jamie says, and Druidry doesn't have to be so damn dry that you...
Though occasionally it is, depending who you're reading.
Okay, so we'll wrap up with some of these questions here. So then would you consider yourself a tarot collector?
I would say yes. Okay. I would say yes. I mean, I guess the only other thing that I would say I've really thought of myself as a collector of is the coins, right? So I get these, and that was very much about just, oh, my grandfather's traveled, brought these coins here, and we'll look through them together. And so like they're a collection because they're coins that I don't spend. Like they're in a little book and stuff. I've never thought of myself as a collector of books because they just come into my life and I enjoy it, I have never bought a tarot deck that I didn't intend to use. Yeah. I've never bought a deck and like kept it in the wrapping because I thought that it was a limited edition or like any of this kind of stuff that I would think of. Like people collect baseball cards and things like this, and they keep like the rare things pristine and like these kind of things. Like I'm not a collector in that sense. But I have a collection. So,
yes. I hear you. I feel like I'm on the same boat. And you had it before that your soul is polyamorous, and so then the idea of a soul deck, does that kind of get your back up? Or
no, because like there are decks that speak to my soul. It's just not going to be one for the rest of my life.
Right. Yeah.
And I don't think that I don't think that having one deck that ticks every box and meets every need and is perfect for every type of reading in your life, like I don't feel like that's a thing for me to aspire to. And that's again, like if that's what works for folks, like that's completely fine. Right. I like having different tools for different purposes, different tools for different seasons. Like that's just, and I think it's a thing that's like, it doesn't mean that you like them less.
Yeah.
It's like if you, I don't know, I'm not a parent, but like if you have one child and then you have another child, it's not like you all of a sudden like the first child half as much because now there's 2. Like, and I feel like sometimes the kind of monogamous soul deck is like conversation can be a little bit like that, where it's like, oh, you only like love one or something. Like I don't feel that way about friends. Like I don't feel like that way about anything. So like
I hear you. I
just don't.
Yeah.
No. But it doesn't bother me. I mean, if people identify with the soul deck, that's fine. And
yeah, it doesn't bother me either.
I don't think of necessarily myself that way, but
yeah. And I think what does bother me is that when people get the idea that it's something that they have to have, and it's something that they then have to hunt for, which is, I think a lot of people have struggled, I've seen in like the Facebook groups, they've struggled with trying to find this thing that might possibly not exist for, you know what I mean? And it's not, or they might already have it, in some form.
No, and I think it too, it's like you're like my practice and what I'm drawn to has changed quite a lot. Like, I mean, certainly there's some things that I've like always thought were fucking ugly and still do think that now, but like there's but like what I want to work with has changed so much, and I think that, you know, through exploring different things, you can perhaps sometimes you find that a particular deck maybe doesn't work for you, right? But like that's okay. It doesn't mean that the deck is bad, and it doesn't mean that it's some like failure or like
right.
You know, like that's completely fine. Like I can say that now I have a much better sense
of what works for you,
what I like and what works for me, and I can look at a deck now very easily and say, I love this artwork. I would never use this. Much more easily than when I'm first discovering the world of, oh, there's multiple tarot decks that exist.
Right.
And like, oh, that's pretty and that's pretty and that's pretty. I don't feel that way now. But I also think that that phase is like great. And I also think that feeling that way is great because it's exciting and you get to
It's fun. Yeah, absolutely. So then it doesn't seem like you're the type that would get overwhelmed by having a large number of decks.
No, as long as they're not. I would be overwhelmed if they were like messy.
So as long as they're organized on a shelf or.
Yeah, like a certain point, like my clothing closet is a finite size, right? Like the closet is the size that it is. And so I donate clothes like at least once a year, if not twice, more than I buy. Because if it's like really squishy and I can't find the things that I like because there's things that I don't use a lot taking up the space, that frustrates me. Yeah. But just like having, just having many decks does not.
Okay. And you so okay, first we'll answer Beth's question. How would y'all define tarot collector? Well, I guess I define it quite loosely in that I know some people define it as kind of like what you were saying, Laura, that it's, they're keeping it, they're like amassing a collection that, I don't know, specifies different like points in time or different editions of a certain thing. Sure. And it's about keeping that item pristine, and it's about taking account of their value and whether it, escalates or that's kind of what I think of like collector, and that's not what I do, but I would still say I'm a collector and that I do have a collection of decks. So
yeah, I mean, can I have like the cheat answer and say like a tarot collector is a person who thinks of themselves as a tarot collector? It is like a tautological,
perfect.
Perfect. Like I think that these questions are.
Yeah. It's however you want to define it, right? So yeah, and you were saying that actually, a lot of people have said, and I myself have said this too. It's like, oh well, I have these decks. And so when I think about a deck that I want to get, it should fit a different niche, or it should not echo anything that I already have in my collection. Whereas you have said kind of the opposite, like, well, but I like this thing, so why would I not get more of this thing? Why would I keep myself from getting a deck that is similar to my other decks? Because that is what I would essentially enjoy, right?
Yeah. And I mean, I think I don't want to go like looking for niches that don't exist, if that makes it like I don't want to do a like, oh well, I really like I don't have an angel deck. I should really, that's a niche of a deck that I don't have. What I should find the angel deck that I like the best. Like, of course I'm not going to do that. That makes no sense. Right. But then if I really like animal oracle decks, which I do.
Yes.
And like particular kinds of animal oracle decks, I really like when it's just the animal and the animal's name. Like that is the animal deck that I like, and I use them frequently.
Yeah.
Then I'm not going to look at one that I think is great and be like, oh, but I already have one.
Yeah, I hear you. But then I'm sure at the same time, there have been instances, like for instance, with your Ogham deck, where it's like, I want this certain thing and I can't find it. Well, so you made your own. Have there been, I'm sure there have been instances where like, well, I would love to have a deck that does.
I agree with Joey that Angel is not
an angel. I
agree with the first thing that popped into my mind.
Yes.
I don't know. Sorry, are there decks that I've seen? I totally just interrupted you.
Oh, no. It's fine. I was just wondering, like, have there been decks where it was something where you were searching for a deck that filled a certain maybe gap, or has that not really been the case for you in that? Well, I mean, with the Ogham thing, you ended up just making your own deck, really.
You know what? Actually, yeah. La Flora Tarot. I was looking for a deck that was based in plants and in some way. And there's lots of it. There's lots of botanical kinds of tarot decks, oracle decks. You know, there's lots. There are a number of them, mass market and indie alike. But I was really keen to have one that the book did particular sorts of things as well.
Okay.
And so that deck, like when I backed that deck on Kickstarter, it was very much knowing that like this is because of this reason.
Gotcha. Cool.
Yeah. Because the book talks about why each plant was paired with each tarot card in a clear and succinct way, because I don't know a lot about plants.
Yeah.
And the connection is not going to ever be obvious to me. And also like those connections are so culturally specific as well anyway. Like, even if I did have a particular basis from somewhere, it's not going to be the same.
Exactly.
So
very true. Yeah. Very true. Hello, Ivy's Grove. Nice to see you here. All right. So one final question, and we'll look for any remaining questions from the live chat. But what kind of advice would you have for anybody who, say, wants to start learning tarot, or maybe wants to even start a channel, and they're maybe intimidated by either learning the tarot or starting a channel,
Once to start learning tarot, I would say, you know, get the deck that makes you want to get it out. I know there's do you recommend the Smith Waite as your first? And it's like,
you don't.
No, I don't. Because, you know, I think, why would I recommend the Smith Waite when there's this? Right? Like I just, unless someone is perhaps really interested in learning, like a historical, you know,
esoteric,
particular kinds of reasons.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't. There's not necessarily one deck that I'm like everybody should learn with this deck. I think it's really personal. But I think that, you know, get the one that you think draws you in. Like don't. There's not a wrong one, I don't think. I mean, some are maybe harder than others, but there's not a wrong one. And starting a channel, I would say, don't convince yourself you have nothing to say.
Exactly.
Which is what I did.
Exactly. And I did that for the longest time too. Like, oh, I have nothing to say. But, you know, as long as you want to be a part of the conversation and jump in.
And also, like, you don't need to have a bunch of fancy stuff.
Oh, you don't.
Like, you don't need to have any kind of elaborate, you know, filming equipment or any, you know, don't let that, like a lot of us, for me, like for me, I'm like this has nothing to do with my profession or my weight. Like, you know, I don't have a tarot business. Like it's not something that I can invest in a similar way, perhaps, that somebody who's doing it as their living might.
Right.
Don't let these kinds of things like be a barrier.
Exactly. Absolutely. And, you know, if you want to get your feet wet, you can come on here. If you want to have a casual convo with me, you can come on here, and you don't even have to show your face. You can do a top down. Like, you know, there are no rules. Hi, Allison Tech Coven. So, yeah. All right. I think.
I mean, this is the webcam I use for work, so it's like,
yeah. There you go.
You know, it doesn't have to be.
Exactly. I'm using my laptop right now, and that's really all she wrote. Yeah, I don't care about the camera either. Yeah. So videos I've made so far is on my phone. Exactly. I used for the longest time I used lighting from garden grow lamps that my husband had in the attic.
Oh, I've had my laptop, when I need to raise it, it's stacked on a stack of old Rolling Thunder magazine.
Yeah.
Crime Think Rolling Thunder magazine newspapers. That is my
quick and dirty.
My computer. It's like
absolutely.
It's fine.
It is totally fine. Because I feel like this like tarot versus people in the tarot village are very forgiving of that, because they, you know, they don't care about the fancy shit. They just you know, they want to get to know you. They want to hear what you have to say. They want to, you know, see what decks you're using, etc. So,
and I think too, like there's a lot of different ways to.
yes,
There's
Meg.
a lot of different ways to work with tarot, right? You don't have to do what you see other people doing. What other people are doing might not work for you. If you want to do one card readings,
Yeah,
like that's what feels comfortable, and that's, you know, great.
exactly.
If you want to do past, present, future spread for, you know, do it. Like there's not
Right. There's no like set thing. And especially with, you know, again, in starting a channel, I mean, that kind of perspective might be very helpful for other people who are intimidated and feel like there are a lot of shoulds that they need to be following. So any kind of variety is great, you know?
And I think beginner channels are really good. Like
Yeah.
I really like when folks are like comfortable to make a channel about their learning.
Yeah.
I think that's an amazing learning tool for other folks as well. Like you don't want to get in your head and think, oh, I'm not an expert, I haven't been doing it long enough, these people have been reading tarot for 20 years, like what am I going to say
Right.
compared to these folks with channels who've been reading tarot for 20 years? Like, no, you know, that's not it at all.
Exactly. Totally agree. Totally agree. Okay. All right. That's a deal. We'll talk afterwards. We'll talk afterwards, Meg. And Krista says, make your own rules and then break them too. Absolutely. I completely agree. Completely agree. So, all right.
And break other people's rules. Like I feel like you know, be very mindful of the prescriptive.
Yes.
You know,
absolutely.
you can't use tarot to do this because that's not
how it's yeah. Absolutely. When
there's often a lot more underneath those statements too, but like don't,
when Heather was on, she's pretty much gave similar advice. It was like, don't listen to people. So it's like, yeah, I mean, you know, you have to do what feels right and sincere for you. You know, they're really, when things get too prescriptive, it is, it's kind of a red flag for me anyway. So yeah, let's see. And Joey says, you have to stand up for yourself. Total 7 of Wands. Yes, I completely agree.
Yeah, and in terms of starting a YouTube channel too, like sometimes that, like, you know, you asked how my YouTube experience has been. Like, I've had hateful comments.
Yeah, that is. Yeah,
I've had, you know, bigot comments. I've had all kinds of you know, whether like targeted at my person or my thinking about tarot or whatever, my, you know, ideas about something. Like it happens and it sucks.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that happens, and it's not. Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah, it does suck, and that is another thing to be mindful of. That that's, you're gonna have to have somewhat of or grow somewhat of a thick skin in a sense that, and it's, you know, those kinds of trolls, they are, in a way, it's like they target not just you, they will target others, and it's kind of going to be par for the course when it comes to anybody having a channel. You're going to get a troll,
just like
2 or 10, or
it's helpful to know what you're going to do, but like I just delete. Like if somebody makes some like hateful, you know, sexist, what, you know, whatever it is, kind of it's gone.
Yes, exactly. That's what I do. I delete it,
you know,
report it, block, you know,
done. Like it's gone. I don't need other people coming to my channel and having to see that nonsense. Like, it's gone.
Exactly.
And that's fine. It's my channel, so I can do that if I want to.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it is. That's the thing. It is your channel. You can do whatever you want, and you set those boundaries from the very beginning so that people know what to expect. And delete, block, report. I do that often.
Done. But those are not the majority. Those are not the majority.
Not. Yes.
Not at all.
Let us not scare you. Yes, that is not the majority. It's just it's bound to happen. If you're putting yourself out there in the public, there are going to be keyboard warriors.
It happens everywhere else, right? Like it happens out in the world.
Exactly.
On the street, in your, you know, it happens everywhere.
Right. So that's just, it's just how it goes. So yes, I agree, Meg. Most people are super kind and wonderful. I agree. I totally agree. You shall not pass no. Yep. Pretty much. Okay. So I think that is it. So Laura, do you have anything else that you wanted to say or share before we log off here?
No, just like thanks folks for chatting, and thank you for
Yes.
having me again. I was really excited.
Absolutely. Yes. I was excited that you agreed to come on. That's awesome. And we will have to do this again. And once again, anybody, you don't have to have a tarot channel. If you just want to come on and talk, like especially the people who, yeah, they comment, you know, and they maybe lurk, but they don't have a channel. We would love to get to know you too. We would love to get to know you too. So, and you don't have to show your face, you know, you don't. I will talk to your hands or whatever it is. We don't care. So do hit me up. So once again, Laura's channel information is in the description box below. So thank you all for joining, and until the next time, much love and take care. Bye.